Okay, I'd like to have your attention for just a moment. I think we have most of the inductees are here, and their families are here, and so the celebration is about to begin. I apologize to many of you. You were at the bar, and I was in the middle of you getting something to drink, so I apologize for that. My name is Lee McElroy, and I'm the Associate Vice President and Director of Athletics, and very happy and very pleased tonight to honor the class of 2020 and the class of 23, RPI Hall of Fame inductees. So we'll talk more about them in a minute, but let's give them a round of applause. Before we talk a little bit about them, I'd like to ask our staff and our coaches who are seated at the two tables to my far right to stand, please, and be recognized. They're the people that help produce and coach these future Hall of Famers. So thank you for all that you do. We also have special guests tonight, and that is RPI TV. They're going to be streaming the event. RPI TV? Yeah. Great job by them. So I'm honored for several reasons. First of all, our president, Martin Smith, had to leave to go to the Far East. He could not be here, but he sends his regards. He's very excited for our honorees, and if he were here, he certainly would be welcoming you and feeling very good about what you've done for the university, what you've done for your families, and what you've done in your careers. So he sends his regard in that respect. At my table, I have another Hall of Famer, Richard Scammell, and his wife, Denise. Please stand and be recognized. Rich, as you know, is a former student athlete. He was inducted into the RPI Hall of Fame in 1978. Peter Konwarski is our Vice President for Student Life. Peter, please be recognized. He's here to support our program and our wonderful inductees. And you're going to hear pretty soon from Father Larry Rice, but I don't want to get him up here too soon because he's serious about what he needs to do. So in 2004, I was driving and headed to some friend's house for the Super Bowl. And Bob Costas had a show on Hall of Famers. And his four guests were all Hall of Famers: Pat Summitt, Juno Amorami, John Wooden, and Don Shula. And it was a fascinating conversation among those four guests. How do you produce Hall of Famers? What are the ingredients of Hall of Famers, and what are the characteristics? And they really didn't agree on a lot of things. Pat Summitt had her own view about women and basketball, as did Gino. Coach Wooden was kind of quiet, and Don Shula thought that football controlled the world. And of course, Andrew probably knows all about that because he was the former coach of the Dolphins. But three things that they did agree on in terms of characteristics for Hall of Famers. The first was competitive spirit. All Hall of Famers have that, and they are the people, no matter it's a bad practice, a great game, a lift, a training session, the competitive spirit for Hall of Famers is always there. Leadership was the other characteristic that these four Hall of Famers agreed upon, and that the team with Hall of Famers always first, never second, not about them. And the third, and maybe the most important, resilience, the ability to overcome a bad loss, overcome a bad practice, overcome an injury. All these ingredients define Hall of Famers. These Hall of Famers that we are recognized tonight, they exhibit all of these ingredients. So to their families, to the 7 inductees, it's going to be a wonderful night. I can't thank you enough for what you've done for the university, and we look forward to celebrating your accolades and all the great things that you have done throughout your career and your family's support. So thank you very much. So without further ado, Father Larry, it's now your turn.
Let us pray. Loving God, we thank you for this occasion and for the opportunity to recognize the accomplishments of these deserving athletes and leaders. We recognize the dedication and hard work that they put into their respective sports, the passion that they have for their craft, and the many ways that their athletics have shaped their lives. We ask that you bless these inductees with continued success in athletic endeavors and in their lives. May their induction into this prestigious Hall of Fame serve as a reminder of their achievements and inspire future generations to strive for excellence. We also ask that you bless their families, their coaches, their teammates, and all who have supported them along their way. We thank you for the strength and guidance that they have provided to these athletes and for the many sacrifices that they have made in order to see them succeed. Finally, we ask that you continue to bless this Hall of Fame as a symbol of excellence and inspiration. May it always serve as a reminder of the greatness that is possible when one dedicates themselves to a cause greater than themselves. We ask your blessing on the meal we received tonight, on our conversations, and on all of those who are being inducted this evening. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Father Larry. Thank you, Lee. And good evening. My name is Kevin Beatty. I am an Associate Athletic Director and the Chair of the Rensselaer Athletic Hall of Fame Committee. In my 25 years at RPI, I've witnessed firsthand and experienced the passion the committee members have for Rensselaer athletics, our student athletes and our alums. It is never an easy task to select an induction class. And once again, we were reminded that this time was no exception. We are excited to be here. It's great to see so many familiar faces, to have so many alums back. To the class of 2020, which also includes Matt Murley and Alex Penny, neither of whom could be here, thank you for your patience and understanding as we navigated an unprecedented time and an unpredictable timeline caused by the pandemic. To the class of 23, thank you as well, and congratulations. Certainly, we would have liked to have inducted many of you, a super talented group, before now. But it seems to have all worked out as we're all together for what should be a great evening. To those who have helped make this night possible, most notably Sachi Vines, our Director of Marketing, thank you. And as Lee mentioned, thanks to our friends at RPI TV who are here to capture this event live. You can watch it right now if you want, put it on your cell phone. You can also watch it when you get home. They'll archive it. You can show it as often as you want to as many people as you want, and we hope that you do. They do a tremendous job for us, really for the Institute, and we can't thank them enough. Thank you. Also, thanks to the folks at the Hilton Garden Inn, as well as others whom I may have inadvertently failed to mention, for the time on which we put this event together, and it's been a real team effort. Lastly and importantly, we would like to thank all of the alums who are here tonight. Many of you are here to support former teammates and colleagues, as well as your alma mater, and we are so appreciative. It would take a moment, if we could take a moment for all the alums, former student athletes or otherwise, to please stand, we'd like to recognize you. Thank you. This year's Athletic Hall of Fame inductees are individuals who inspired and led others with their work ethic, their dedication, talent, and their heart. They all exhibited an avid desire to improve themselves, to make their teams better. In addition to the team practices, workouts, lifts, they undoubtedly also spent hours owning their crafts with commendable goals in mind to represent themselves, their families, and Rensselaer proudly and with dignity and grace, and to consistently do so in their everyday lives. Congratulations to each of you, and thank you. We're going to change the order a little bit. I know you have your cards there, and we originally had Ali Arnall going first. Due to the weather and an overtime game with the women's lacrosse team, and out of respect for Coach Delano, we'll move Ali towards the later portion so that Leslie can be here. So our first inductee will be Jerry Bushy, a member of the class of 1968, who was originally from Manhasset, New York. He earned his degree in management as a Navy ROTC student who went on to serve as a U.S. naval officer before joining the family's fuel oil business. It was a different time in so many ways when Jerry was a two-sport standout in soccer and lacrosse, but there are in fact some similarities between him and our other honorees. When considering Ali, who I mentioned, for instance, the most obvious is that they both played lacrosse. Another, which I think is perhaps more interesting, is that they both came to Rensselaer as legacies. Both of Ali's parents, who are here tonight, are Rensselaer graduates, as is Jerry's dad, Francis, a member of the class of 1941. Without that RPI connection, Jerry likely would have ended up at Georgetown or Notre Dame, two other schools that he considered. Perhaps being here tonight at this induction ceremony, along with his 3 children, further confirms that Jerry chose wisely in carving the path he did, and RPI is better because of it. From the time he moved into Bray Hall as a freshman, to joining the Theta Xi fraternity, to being a campus tour guide, and especially serving as captain of both soccer and lacrosse, Jerry had a major impact on others. It remains so strong, in fact, that his friends and former teammates set the bar in their advocacy to have a former teammate considered for Hall of Fame recognition. Their diligence and their research, correspondence, helped make it clear that Jerry competed at a Hall of Fame level, despite it being over 50 years since he graduated. You see, while soccer and lacrosse basically remained similar in how they were played in Jerry's era versus today, what is not the same was how they were covered, in particular statistically. Yes, goals and assists, saves were tallied, and Jerry scored a couple times. More on that momentarily. But he was not a scorer. Unfortunately, other stats were not counted consistently or at all. So Jerry, who was a ground ball machine in lacrosse, according to his former teammates, including both Sam Cozzetto and John Downing, both of whom are here tonight, didn't always show up on the stat sheet. He also excelled in causing turnovers and otherwise wreaking havoc. That's if the opponent on the other team could actually get the ball while Jerry was covering him. During the 1965 season, he became a starter, the only starter who, as a sophomore, at left fullback during the 3rd game of the season. The team was 1-1, but in the remaining games over the next 3 years, 65, 66, and 67, the Engineers went 22-6-2 in games that he started. And this was while playing at the highest NCAA level. There were not divisions 1, 2, or 3 in those days. The team's successes also included an invitation to the 1967 national tournament. Individually during those seasons, the opponent's right wing, who Jerry was tasked with marking, never scored a goal or even registered an assist. The lacrosse schedule in Jerry's era also included powerful schools at the highest level. In '66, as a midfielder, again the only sophomore to start, he consistently gobbled up loose balls and clamped down on the opposition. Doing so for each of his 3 years, freshmen were not allowed to play back then, as per NCAA rules. He helped RPI compile a 29-8 record. Now, to be clear, there were a couple of goals from Jerry's stick, and there is one that stands out. It was in 1966 in a game against Hobart that he scored the tying goal in the waning minutes of regulation against the Statesman's All-America goalie. The Engineers went on to win in double overtime, 7-6. And Jerry remembers that as one of his favorite athletic memories. Winning teams need star players, great coaches, and strong leadership, shared John Downing when discussing Jerry. In addition to being a star athlete, Jerry was a two-sport captain, and in that role, an exceptional leader. He motivated both his teammates and coaches to excel. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Jerry Bushy to the Rensselaer Athletics Hall of Fame. Our next inductee is also blessed to have her children here, albeit they're a little bit younger than Jerry's. Julianne Bass Fuda came to Troy from Costa Mesa, California to study engineering and to play softball. She excelled at both. It took exactly one game for her to get acclimated to the college level as she went 3 for 4 with a run and a run batted in an 8-0 win over Eastern Nazarene in March 2006 in Fort Myers, Florida. She went on to set the school record for hits in a single season with 62 in only 41 games. She had at least 2 hits in 18 games and 3 in 10 contests. At one point, she had a 4-game stretch in which she collected 12 hits in 14 at-bats with 12 runs and 8 runs batted in. The team started 15-1 and closed the regular season with a 19-game winning streak on its way to the first NCAA tournament berth in program history. RPI finished with a 35-6 record that year to set the Institute's mark for wins. Being inducted into the Hall of Fame makes me think that it's not just about my own personal accomplishments and statistics, but more about what we can accomplish as a team, Julianne said upon finding out she was being inducted. That first season was the first of 4 postseason appearances for RPI, which had a combined record of 113 and 43 in the tenure of Julianne, her good friend and fellow team captain, Sarah Finkbeiner, who is here tonight, and Michelle Street. Of course, there were individual excellence and accolades, and they continued throughout her career. Primarily a catcher, she hit .414 with a career-high 9 home runs in 35 games as a sophomore, when she had multiple hits in 14, including going 4 for 5 with 2 home runs, 2 runs, and 6 runs batted in at Skidmore, who, by the way, we swept today. Congratulations, Amber. Julianne batted .386 with 31 runs batted in as a junior with an early hot streak of 7 hits and 7 at-bats over a couple games in Florida. As a senior, she had 10 multiple hit games, 19 games with at least 1 run scored, and at least 1 RBI in 18 games. She finished with a team best 14 doubles and a perfect 1,000 fielding percentage. Fittingly, she hit a home run, very likely to Bassland, and we'll touch on that in a couple seconds, in left center field in her final game. Julianne's career statistics of .390, 196 hits, 41 doubles, 319 total bases, and a .634 slugging percentage are all among the best in RPI softball history. As you can imagine, her graduation was a welcome sight for the opposition, following a career in which she was all Liberty League 4 times, including 3 as a first-team catcher, and All-Region twice. While she made it look easy, Julianne had to persevere. First, softball is a game of failure, which she learned to deal with thanks to the help of her coach from home, Ron Lefevre, and her parents and her family, including her brother, Jonathan, who was an accomplished baseball player. She also battled through being so far away from home, embarking on a rigorous civil engineering academic curriculum, and its challenging class schedules, and a shoulder injury. She persevered through workouts, practices, road trips, finals, team projects, all while working part-time. Looking back, I am extremely proud of what I accomplished and how it shaped me into the person I am with the work ethic I have today, she said. She continued, so much of being an athlete is overcoming mental obstacles. Just when you think your body cannot handle any more weightlifting or any more sprints, you convince yourself that you can do it. And it's true, your body listens. I have transitioned this mental toughness into everything that I do in life, from being a student at RPI to my career bridge engineering to being the best mother and wife that I can be. Please welcome to the front a mom to Michael in Brooklyn and the wife to Charles Fuda from the class of 2009, Julianne Bass.
Kids are having more fun than you are. Congratulations. Well deserved. Yeah, thank you.
Before you go, we have to get an explanation on Bassland. So let's get a microphone here. All right, so let me just set this up. So in speaking with Julianne and getting some of the correspondence back, she shared a funny story about what she described as Bassland, and I thought it would be interesting for her to share it with the group.
All right, good evening, everyone. So I grew up playing competitive softball in Southern California, which is a much different climate, if you will, than upstate New York. But I was always a pull hitter, you know, power hitter, left center field, was dubbed Bassland. So that's my maiden name, Bass. And that's typically where I like to hit my bombs out into left center. I think we actually painted that onto the family van going to ASA Nationals in high school. During my, I think it was probably junior year, I was interning part-time at Collins Engineers in Albany, and my supervisor was very gracious to understand, you know, my busy schedule with softball and classes, and, you know, he let me come into the office whenever I could part-time. And so being the supportive supervisor that he was, he decided to come watch one of our games. So we all know the softball field is directly across from the firehouse on the other end of campus. And so he got there right after our first game, and he decided to park along the road by the firehouse, right in left center field. So I tell him, I'm like, you might want to move your car. And he shrugged it off, it'll be fine, right? So there's, 30, 45 minutes in between the games. So my boyfriend at the time, sorry, Charles. My boyfriend at the time took him to the pub. Well, let's go have a beer in between games. We'll make it back in time for the second game. Well, they must have had 2 beers because they missed the first inning. And wouldn't you know it, I hit a home run right into left center field, directly over the hood of his car. So he was sad that he missed it, but he took it back to Collins Engineers, and they wrote up a funny tidbit for the monthly newsletter, and it's history ever since.
Thank you, Julianne. While Julianne came from 2,800 miles away, our next inductee's trip to campus was considerably shorter, like 2,796 miles less. Mark Cavosi grew up in Cohoes and began skating and playing hockey at the Houston Fieldhouse around the age of 5. One of the most talented players to come out of the Capital Region, he was heavily recruited to stay local when it came time to play collegiately. Having a large extended family nearby, along with the opportunity to continue to play with his brother Eric, who is here tonight, they were big draws for him, and he elected to play in the cherry and white. Having attended many RPI games as a child, Mark knew the rich history and tradition of the hockey program, whether it be former stars like Adam Oates and Joey Juneau, or the 2 national championship teams, or the iconic events like the annual Big Red Freakout. Now he was going to be part of that. In his first season, Mark helped the Engineers to a 6-0 start and a top 10 national ranking. He registered his first career point on an assist of a Brad Tapper goal 12 seconds into the second period of it, 12 seconds into the second game of his career as RPI beat Quinnipiac 6-4 at then Pepsi Arena. His first goal came the next game against UMass Lowell in his first career game at the Fieldhouse. He also had an assist in that 3-1 game. Mark went on to register 12 goals, including a hat trick at Princeton in late January, and 18 assists in 33 games, while helping the team to a 22-win season and the ECAC tournament final in Lake Placid. He was named to the ECAC All-Rookie team and chosen as the RPI Athletics Male Athlete of the Year, but it was the opportunity to skate with Eric, while his dad, Tom, served as the team's skate sharpener and de facto equipment manager, plus the chance to play in front of his mom, Robin, is what made this season especially special. After being selected by the Minnesota Wild in the NHL draft in the summer of 2000, Mark's ascent continued. His sophomore season began with a hat trick and a 5-4 win at BU, which included his game-winning goal late in the third period, and Eric picked up an assist, and he went on to average over a point a game. Mark also represented the U.S. in the prestigious World Junior Under-20 Championship, an annual event that was held in Russia that year. He had 6 points in 7 games while playing with the best players in the world at his age. After registering 60 points in his first 2 seasons, he truly shined during his junior year, beginning once again with a hat trick against the Terriers. He went on to score 23 goals, including another hat trick, this time against Yale, and register 50 points on his way to earning the ECAC Player of the Year award and selection as a first-team National All-America. 4 of his points came in that year's freakout against arch rival Clarkson in what just had to be the best period of Mark's career. RPI was down 3-0 near the midway point in the third. Mark scored at the 7:17 mark. Then he set up a goal by Jim Henkel 8 minutes later, and then he tied it with a goal under a minute to play. Just over a minute into overtime, he assisted on Carson Butterwick's game winner, and a sold-out crowd of 5,117, no doubt many Cavosis in the stands, left in jubilation. While that was a memorable night, it was not the last time Mark terrorized the team from the North Country. After again helping the Engineers to Lake Placid, they faced Clarkson in the consolation game, and once again erased another third period deficit of 3 goals, beginning with Mark's 23rd goal of the year. The winner came from Matt Murley with under a minute to play, and the season, and as it turned out, Mark's collegiate career had come to a close. Less than a month later, he signed a professional contract with Minnesota and moved into the pro ranks. His extensive professional career brought him all over the world, but Mark made it a point to finish his degree in management, which he did in 2007 while still playing. He moved back to the area after nearly a decade as a pro, and we are thrilled to have him here. Please welcome to the RPI Athletics Hall of Fame, Mark Cavosi. Hold on, Mark. Don't have a question. Yeah, we'll keep it G-rated. So, being a local standout, coming to RPI, being able to play in front of your friends and family, what did it mean?
Honestly, it meant everything. mean, growing up with Kenny Hammond, Joe Juno, the feeling in the field house is something that can't be replicated no matter where you go. You know, we had, what, 10 season tickets every game, sorted throughout the family, so that's why everyone plays whatever they play or whatever they're passionate about. It's because of your parents, your family, and all that. So playing in your hometown, you know, I wish everybody could experience it.
And just to follow up, now, after playing in your hometown, you played all over the world. Japan, I mean, where you won a championship, in Europe. What was that experience like?
I feel very fortunate to get paid vacations. No, when I realized I didn't quite make it to the top here, you know, taking the opportunity to play all over the world and get a chance to see the world has always been a dream of mine, and I've been fortunate enough to experience that, go to different cultures, and do a bunch of kind of one-year contracts. A little bit of a suitcase, but it was definitely worth it in the end.
Thanks, Mark. We'll have one more inductee before we break for dinner. And we'll stay on the ice for this next inductee. Sonia Vandervliet from the class of 2011. A goalie from Toronto, Sonia had a solid start to her career as well, stopping 18 shots in a 6-1 win over North Dakota in her first ever game. She went on to share the crease with Ashley Meyer, a junior, and she saw action in 15 games. Among the first recruited netminders to the newly minted Division I program, she allowed only 1 goal in 7 games and none in 4. Among her shutouts was a 31 save, 1-0 win over Robert Morris and a 30-save 4-0 victory over Quinnipiac. She finished the year with a 1.33 goals against average and a save percentage of .939, which ranked 4th and 3rd in the nation, respectively. As a sophomore, Sonia started the year with a 23-save shutout against BU and went on to set the school record for games and starts by a goalie, both 35, including starting each of the last 30 games. She also set the record for minutes and wins. Each of those records still stand today. She was especially sharp down the stretch as RPI finished the regular season as a sophomore with 4 wins and a tie in 5 games, allowing just 1 goal in each. The unbeaten streak got to 7 games with a 2-game sweep of Princeton in a best-of-3 playoff series, which Sonia confidently predicted in the newspaper. She stopped 63 of 64 shots in that series on the road. RPI won 2-1 in overtime and then advanced with a 1-0 win in which she had 32 stops. The semifinals were also on the road, also went to overtime, and also ended in victory. At Harvard, which was the number 7 team in the country at the time, Sonia had a career-high 48 saves and a 3-2 win to put the Engineers in the ECAC final for the first time in school history. A loss to Dartmouth ended her record-setting campaign, which included 18 wins and 5 shutouts. In the 8-game stretch before losing to the Big Green, who were ranked number 4 in the country at the time, by the way, Sonia allowed only .67 goals per game and stopped almost 98% of the shots she faced. She proved that the first 2 years were a prelude to what was to come. She again played and started 35 games and logged even more minutes to set a new standard in that category as a junior. 7 of her 15 wins came by way of shutout, also a school record, and it helped her register another minuscule goals against average, this time of 1.85. Sonia and the team, once again, went on to qualify for the postseason, and she backstopped the Engineers to a first-round win. Playing at Quinnipiac, RPI lost the first game 2-1 in double overtime, despite her 33 saves. She had 16 the next day, a 1-0 shutout, and then she had what would be her all-time career high of 49 saves as the Engineers and Quinnipiac played into the 5th overtime, a game RPI won on a Laura Gersten goal at 4:32 in what was the 8th period. Sonia made 98 saves on 101 shots while playing over 300 minutes that weekend. A loss to Cornell in the semifinals finished the year, and the same held true the following season when the Big Red ended RPI's season in the first round. She made a season-high 34 saves in an overtime loss in the first game, and then stopped 33 shots in what was the deciding contest. Sonia graduated with her name etched deeply into the program's record books as the school's all-time leader in career games played, games started, wins, saves, minutes, and shutouts. She still holds the marks for wins with 52 and shutouts with 17. We had a decent amount of on-ice success, she said. A lot of time we were the underdogs and pulled off some pretty big upsets. I am proud to have been a part of the developing and growing the D1 program. Today she uses the lessons she learned in her everyday life as a firefighter, a new occupation following a long professional career in Canada and overseas. We're thrilled to have back Sonia Vanderbleek. No, don't rush off. Hold on. I have a question. Okay. Dana, you have a question? So,
Dana?
we mentioned you're a firefighter. How is it being a member of a team, playing professionally, being a teammate? How has that helped you transition to be a firefighter and the things that you do now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as we all know, playing in team sports goes a long way in any sort of profession, but with the fire hall, it made it a seamless transition just in terms of working together as a team. Like, all of those lessons we learned being on a team, it goes so far. Being a firefighter, just working towards a common goal. I don't know what else to say. Like, it's I think we all know here, right? Being on a team is instrumental in terms of what we do with our lives, and being a firefighter, working in a crew and having to basically live and eat and sleep and work with these people, like, you really have to trust each other. And my years at RPI and being on a team like that, such a tight-knit group, it really went a long way for that. So it's made it very easy.
And before we let you off the stage, I want to ask you about the prediction against Princeton. How did you know?
I mean, part of that, looking back, was probably, in retrospect, not a great thing to say to a newspaper, but thank God that we won, and we actually swept. I think I said we were going to sweep, too. It wasn't even just the win. But I don't know, I just had a good feeling. Like, our team was gelling that year. Like, we were just going into the playoffs there. I had no doubts in my mind, to be real. And we did what we said we were going to do, so.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
At this time, we will take a brief break so that we can all eat. The folks from the Hilton Garden Inn staff will let you know when it's time for your table to go to the buffet. Thank you.
To fill in the time, one last dog story, one last elk story. Loki, elk are generally not, they don't mess with other dogs. You know, my first dog short grade walked through for a week, was guarded. Yeah, I was down in McGarry's a couple of years ago. On a Thursday or Friday night outside, I'm sitting on the wall at the back with Loki. And as I get up, he said to go up, walk up Clinton Avenue over at the entrance. There's a couple on the table, and they got two dogs. One's like 12 pounds, one's like really low. And the bigger little dog, and Loki were making nice. What? The little dog, solid, really just other stuff in the box. Loki takes a look at him. I can bite me in half, and I look up and there's a guy sitting on the wall falling off laughing. I just wish someone had filmed it. They would have got a million hits on YouTube. I pulled him back. I should have let him be on the dog. That's they're not generally right on their back. Yes. I never knew that until I was at our state class one night. Every Wednesday night in summer. It was nice to walk over with the dogs. My first one was right. One of the dogs. I think just a week. They found their backs and walked away. But then you think it's just hard by yourself. You look for a sport. Elk hunts for livestock for wolves. Wolves will come out of the time. He stands up and you're fighting. You can actually see that. People say it's a legs are really strong. Yeah, it's so which wolf is coming first? Probably the elk. So he nails the elk. The rest of the I think it's going to be a Jack Reacher and Old Clark inside the bar fight. It's 5 against 1. It's like 3 against 1. And it's like that. You know, I'm going to take out the leader, which is you, and then 2 wingmen, and there's some place where I'm they're about 50 pounds. 45 to 55. I really nice thing. I never got dust bunnies at the house. And I once a year in the spring, when I got the first one, he said, watch out. He said in the spring they blow their coat. They explode. Like big clumps.
One of the guys who worked for me used to rent those dogs. So he had them up in Carmel, New York. And one morning he comes in and he's very pissed off. I didn't go back. I chased him. I fell through the ice. The dog's naked. And they're smart. They know that.
They're nice. They really, you know. One of the kids, I remember, and you bring it along, you know, with that kind of all the way behind the strag was kind of out by itself. You bring the dog, tell him to sit outside the door, and then I would just stay there until he was done. And it's not that I was by, you know, really get away from you. Grab something and say, about 35 seconds to ride it, so you run down and get them off. It's like, leave me alone, leave me alone. And the only time, 3 dogs, 26 years, there's only been 1 fight. And it was the first one strike. And I was something to do with cold water. And 2 dogs, they laughed, never out on the mix. Both times, right now. All of a sudden, the corner of the bar. people are proud of it. I think they're
Well, he said he was
admitted.
get a spur about it. A little bit of a spur. It's like, how do I phrase this to say, what's the, how do I basically say,
I remember when I was in the when you guys
without saying, and he said, that's the same thing I have.
You had no picture.
no Pittsburgh game, so maybe you'd see a game on Stanley Cup Finals. RPI is 37 games.
No, but,
Yeah, well, players never make an impact in 6 games. So there's a lot more opportunity.
And like I just think like now, there's this kind
They win like Stanley Cup like 5 years ago.
yeah, and the next year he's the most valuable player in the state. So I don't know. Yeah, never make it pros. But in general, they did.
I saw him
the fit.
watching his freshman year on Rockford. And it was like 7 to 2. Like 7 to 2. Riding was so good. At home. He was
Some boys were wearing masks when they started, and he was, they said he was experimenting with the mask. The guy game he didn't wear it.
I haven't started my top on. I'll say more about it.
20 or so minutes later, he was back there in the locker room, sitting on the bench, hanging on yelling. He said, luckily, it was just above the eye. Damn the eye. Supposed to knock him out.
Jim, when I used to watch Johnny Bauer was he got a skinny. He was on that ice. And the goal. And the goal. That's not a sport, that's like gladiator.
No, I just want to say.
I hadn't been in a while. I would be amazed how big and how fast these guys are. They're flying. These guys are like 6'5", I think it's the whole.
No, this is more important than you. Are you his son? Oh, roommate.
But at the end, so after those 10 overnights, you got 17 hours. Then you come back and they work 3 8-hour nights.
I love that.
It's confusing. It is hard to keep track of, but it's like
I promise you I will. But it hurt his health. And it sounds like it's just fighting. I'll think about that before you leave. I'll come.
it's not that busy. Usually even like 7 or 8 hours you're done. So it's not I drop it very sometimes.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Actually, just east of Pittsburgh, in a little town. Actually, and I'll tell people, I grew up near where John Fetterman was mayor.
Really?
I don't think he grew up there, but he was mayor of this Braddock, PA, this little steel town, which is about 10 miles from the house I grew up in.
Okay.
I figured if Fetterman got reelected in Braddock, Pennsylvania, a little steel town on the Monongahela River, it's got to be okay. Although then I was no, I live in Albany. Yeah, that's why Sam dragged me. And the only, I do have a connection to lacrosse, but I was never, Sam, in my junior year, we were playing in the, in the quad, throwing the ball around. He says, you're a big guy, piece of tack, come on, try out. So I practiced 4 or 5 weeks with the team, early on. But practice, and I think I played 2 or 3 minutes of the second overtime period of the UMass scrimmage. And I did touch the ball, and I had a chance, but it fell out of my stick. That's very embarrassing. And then I went and got a job at the student union.
That's pretty good having not played before to be able to make sure that they're
Well, that was a scrimmage. And it's only because I think Sam is saying, coach. It was fun, and doing all the calisthenics and working out. I was telling Sam, my best moment in practice was this freshman kid from Baltimore, defenseman, thought he was pretty arrogant. Thought he was well, yeah. All the lacrosse players from Baltimore are pretty arrogant. Oh yeah, we from Baltimore. I play with Brock. Anyhow, I beat him on a one-on-one drill. Not for him. Because other people saw it. And I think they just let him know about it. Because next couple of days, the one I could see wacky.
So what brought you to RPI?
Engineering. At first I wanted to be a rocket scientist, aeronautical engineer. And I learned it was the hardest curriculum in RPI. Back then, before calculators, some of the problems would take 24 hours. I swear to God, there were students crying and leaving school. Yeah, so I switched to, then I thought, well, maybe physics. And then I ended up mechanical engineering. I didn't think I was going to get into it. I applied to Purdue, and RPI. RPI was sort of like, well, because I only had like an A+ average. I wasn't top of my class or anything, but I graduated with baby books, almost 1,000 students in my senior class. So I was taking advanced placement in math, advanced placement in physics, and some of my friends were really smart, and they'll get A's, 600s or 800s on the college boards, and I'm getting 650s or whatever. Doing real good, but compared to them, I'm like, geez, I'm stupid. When I got accepted to RPI yesterday,
They all had bird-sized portions of dinner. But like all of it were hit like crazy.
I tell you,
They never got a plate.
some of those kids,
They never put it. It was always like,
in their class, came from the school where they graduated with 40 or 50 students, and they're straight A, and they think they're really funny. Before classes even started, in my freshman dorm, there was a kid on the phone crying, asking his parents to come and take him home. Your first homework assignment was in the book. You buy the book in the student union, before you went to class, it had your first homework assignment. Maybe I'm in the wrong school, but after first semester, first semester, some of the math was like, I had this in high school. And physics, at least the first semester, it wasn't all that much more advanced. Second year, differential equations. I was never big on theory. Feedback systems.
I never knew that. I did calculus. I was a French
Did you calculus in college?
You went to middle?
Did you take calculus in college?
No.
We went to all of them.
Did you have Mr. Gill?
I didn't want to.
sleeping in the attic with the window on the right side open all year, right? So in January, with the snow blowing in the store, she said they just had sleeping bags and blankets on their heads. No, this was, she graduated in 03 Purdue. Yeah, a lot of sororities are tied up in local rules about chemicals, basically. A Guinness is
And somewhat attractive.
my brother-in-law.
And I don't know what they were, but they were giving an exemption because over 15 years, whatever number of years ago, they said, you really have to go to Division I in all sports. And I think RPI is about to get to some sort of transfer years. Because
so when they told him he couldn't do the floor, I looked at the guy and said, really?
Division 3 here. Back then, there were 75.
Hop in the car. Just before the beer, right? So he lost tickets to the tour. At the end of the tour, they take you to the top of the room. There's a bar overlooking Dublin. You had two victims. Now, he got the tickets, which got distributed amicably or amicably among the family. But he said, well, I'm not going to go sit in the bar with you. I'm going to go shoot up a gift shop. I think he would have a different perspective.
There was only two we beat everybody else. And Hobart we played every year. They were Division I.
The only brew that Guinness was over in
San is. I stayed with it. Coach of Hobart went to
that one, whoever it was, whenever he had about 1,000-year lease.
right now they're mediocre.
They were 100 pounds.
They play pretty much schedule.
So at the time, in 18, whatever, or 17, that was a lot of money.
They were good back then. University of Albany, SUNY Albany, Division I lacrosse. And in the past, this year they've been mediocre. In the past, they were up in the top 5 in the nation. Because they recruited pretty regularly from India. Yeah, one of the from I forget what tribe it is, but the Mohawks up by the Watertown at the New York reservation. They're around Syracuse. A lot of Native Americans.
They had their own team in the World Championship. Iroquois Nation.
Well, they invented the sport.
They played I'm sure they've done it. The last one I saw, they played the World Championship in Tel Aviv. The U.S. played Canada. Yeah. Odd spot. The U.S. played Canada. The Canadians played Iroquois in the semifinals. It was
Like nearly
pretty good.
under 10 yearly and minor. No, I
Yeah, they had
keeps deleting it. It's not pulling up all the I think the boys do. It's a little bit lower.
$280 whatever. It was the same rule. It was like $8,000. Cemented. It's nothing but hard. 60 years. That's how ridiculous the price is. Got it done. I did an analysis.
She doesn't have a head for lunch.
And then I'll sit there and be like, I don't have a but I was in high school. So there's just something about you remember there's always a few of them that really got that stuff out. And there's always
Funny story
She went to Princeton. Friend of mine on the train. Best friend of his. After all had trouble getting his legs. He used to complain all the time. So my friend said, "Remote billionaire. Give her something else to do. Engineering, and we're $50 million like so she's going now. So if you want to do any question you want, and I guess fancy she rode in a truck. I stole her and she used to ride in the truck in the winter. They were both outstanding. And then I don't know when my friend's daughter was. I realized that she was very smart. And he sometimes she got scholarship. She went up and she said she was done. The team is in. I said, well, the team is to put it in. So she would go, so she went to she went to like some ridiculous place that had a good second half was better.
And they used to we're not doing it.
You're not flying with Bloomberg and I'm trying to be stupid. They had a trader on Long Island. Pick untrained horses, like for 5 or 10 grand. Take it in, and turn it over. He was there training. It turned out a sad story. He got into a fight with renowned guy. Ground balls, forget his name. Unbelievable. Still with the horses. Because they used to, the horses would be sized for the age you could.
didn't play there, but he was like, I told him, I said, you should set a time to get so get down low, lower your shoulder.
So we used to let these are the guys on the train.
You could do that when I played. And God knows it was back up. So he did that. And he was, I mean, it's a textbook like handball, taking the back, right? Throw the flag. I turned to one of the other guys and said, what's the problem? You can't do that. I said, in like pinball, it's like, you're not allowed to hit people in lacrosse like that. I said, since when? He said, since always. I was like, not since 1989. So it's not, if it's a different, that's a different dynamic. I said, for what they call me, like you and I would have been right when someone like done. I mean, about 3 minutes into the game, I'm out. Because that guy was taking a long pass, and I didn't even look at the ball. I just hit him. Like you, ejected, right? So it's painful. It helps the offense a little bit, but certainly the same.
I used to drive on that. They will, the airplane ride, they're going to hug you and say, no, you're not going to drive on it.
Players adapt, they'll figure it out. Well, they grew up with it.
Well, the better the whole, a lot of the virus, and then the better the horse.
Somebody got a little change. I think it was Syracuse playing Carolina. It looked like that was all
He was jumping at like 16. He was crazy. Trying way over his head. That was really Christopher Reeve. Yeah, he was not good enough. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't good enough to jump. The train ride was entertaining. We had a great day, like 10 great days. Most of them had 7. I was a city bank in Lehman Brothers, so I had to train with the posting office. And what's funny is I was coaching girls soccer, and I had a lot of those kids. And I tell them stories. Really,
Was that the game? Was the game when they were like 10 seconds? It was a minute left.
really took the game. So I said, when you come home, make sure you right away. And I'll tell my dad. My mom's only a white.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to get started with the next
They're going to sue.
portion of our program.
Oh, yes, great, of course. It's a double whammy.
Please feel free to continue with your dining, whether it's seconds or thirds at the buffet table or at the dessert table. Plenty of food remains, but we do want to get started. Thank you. Simply put, our next inductee, Ali Arnall, of the class of 2013, is the best goalkeeper in women's lacrosse history at RPI. It is indisputable. She backstopped the team to a school record 16 wins twice, helped the team to its deepest NCAA tournament run ever, the 2013 regional final, was a 3-time All-Liberty League honoree, the Conference Defensive Performer of the Year twice, ECAC Defensive Performer of the Year twice, selected to the league's all-tournament team twice, including Most Outstanding Player once, and she was a National All-America. As a junior in 2012, the first year she was the Defensive Player of the Year, she was 10th in the nation in save percentage and 16th in goals against average. She set the school record for wins by a goalie with 16, games played by a goalie with 18, games started with 18, and minutes played. She also set the mark for career wins with 26, and she still had a season to play. Allie added to that career win total by another 16 in her next year, her final year, with the team going 16-4, including 2 wins in the national tournament before a 10-8 loss at Middlebury, which was ranked number 3 in the nation. RPI, which entered the tournament at number 14, earned a final national ranking of number 9, the best in program history. Allie had a 7.46 goals against average, and a .537 save percentage on her way to equaling her own record for wins in a season while setting new records for games played with 20. Her 158 career saves was good enough for 3rd in school history. She went on to play in the prestigious North-South All-Star Game, making a pair of saves for the North team. In addition to the regional and national honors, she was selected as the RPI Athletics Female Athlete of the Year, the first lacrosse goalie to be so recognized. Now, Allie and Sonia and all goalies who earned such honors, did I mention that Allie was the Liberty League Performer of the Week 14 times in her career? They'll be the first to say that their success has a lot to do with the team in front of them. And this is true in Allie's case, especially with the teams in 2012 and 2013, both of which were talented teams with veterans who were also leaders. But teammates could also make a goalie's life pretty difficult if they're not motivated by their keeper. Vocally, skillfully, and acrobatically, Allie encouraged them to play tough, play as a unit, be hard to play against. Often they were impenetrable. When shots did get through, Allie was on her angles, making 10 or more saves 18 times in her career. She had 13 saves in an overtime game with William Smith as a senior and 14 against RIT the year before. She allowed 5 or fewer goals 16 times in 3 years as a starter. And she often shined brightest in the biggest games. In those 3 NCAA tournament games during her senior year, she had a save percentage better than .500, helping her to a .538 mark for that season. Her aggressive style and quickness also led to 33 ground balls, which was just one off her career high of 34 from 2012. That slight statistical difference with the ground balls is the one anomaly to what was consistent improvement from Allie from her first year to her last. A graph of her numbers would be a steep descension when considering her goals allowed and goals against average, with an equally impressive ascension of such things as minutes, saves, and wins. By the end of her 58-game career, RPI had climbed heights it had not reached before and continues to work toward trying to equal or surpass. Please welcome a computer science major who is now a software engineer in Connecticut, originally from Lakewood, New York, Allie Arnall. We will have time for a roundtable discussion with the inductees following our final inductee of the evening. Next up is Sarah Wetmore of the class of 2012. She is also a school record holder who earned a bachelor's and master's in civil engineering while starring on the basketball court. A native of Sudbury, Massachusetts, Sarah made her collegiate debut against the Massachusetts State School, Fitchburg, in a tournament at Amherst College in Massachusetts, and she impressed just as she had when leading Lincoln Sudbury Regional High School to a state championship. She finished that first game against Fitchburg with 18 points, 4 rebounds, an assist, and 6 steals in a display that would become commonplace over the next 5 years. She went on to average 13.4 points and 5 rebounds with 42 assists and a team-high 52 steals in her first season, highlighted by a 3-game stretch in which she averaged 20 points. She also had a game-winning layup late in overtime of a win against Middlebury in which she scored 18 points, including 7 in the extra session as a first-year student. After being named the Liberty League Co-Rookie of the Year, Sarah was eager to contribute as a sophomore to a veteran team that was coming off 18 wins and had been the number 3 seed in the league playoffs. However, she tore her ACL in her left knee in the first scrimmage of the preseason. Not able to be on the floor, Sarah contributed what she could while attending every practice and each game that year as RPI won the conference tournament and won the conference tournament for the first time, played in the NCAA tournament for just the second time, making memories along the way. In fact, what the team accomplished that season are among Sarah's favorite memories as a student athlete at RPI, she says, even though she was unable to play. After missing 20 months, Sarah returned in the fall of 2010 and promptly averaged 19 points and 8 rebounds while playing 34 minutes per game in her first 3 games back. She went on to lead the team in scoring and rebounding with at least 20 points in 8 games and double-digit rebounds in 8 others. One of the goals I had was to play like I didn't have the surgery, she told Mike Biglin of the Sudbury Crier in a December 2010 article. I definitely set my goals high. I knew that if I wanted it that bad, I definitely could get there. The 2011-12 season saw Sarah become more of a distributor as she set career highs in assists with 68 while averaging 13.8 points and 6 rebounds. Though she scored at least 20 points in 5 games, she played a major role in teammate Hillary McKinley winning the League Player of the Year and teammate Jen Rock earning Rookie of the Year. RPI qualified for the conference tournament but lost in the semis. Sarah had a season-high 22 points with 8 rebounds in that game. In her graduate year, she consistently filled up the box score in leading the conference with 20.5 points per game. She also led the team in rebounds, steals, and blocks, shooting 41% from the field and dishing out 62 assists. A second-year captain, Sarah set a career high with 33 points along with 11 rebounds against Bard and 32 points with 6 rebounds against Clarkson. But it was RIT that she seemingly played the best against, scoring 19 points with 6 rebounds and 6 assists in the first game, and going 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 more assists in the second. She also enjoyed playing Union, against whom she beat with a 3 at the buzzer in Schenectady, and then she was playing against the Dutch women when she set the school record for points in a season and career points on February 15, 2003. In 25 games in 2012-13, Sarah scored in double figures in 24 of them. She finished her career with 84 games of double-digit points. She had 20 or more in 29 games and 10 or more rebounds in 18. She's an extremely difficult matchup for people, head coach John Green said. If a post player covers her, she's quicker and can take them off the dribble. If a guard takes her, she's bigger and stronger and can take her to the post. Having that versatility is huge. That versatility led to 1,556 career points, which is still a school record, 4 All-Liberty League year-end selections, and now to the RPI Athletics Hall of Fame. Please welcome Sarah Wetmore. slow. I'm too fast to talk. Let me get this for you. Sarah, congratulations once again.
Thank you.
I'm curious to know and would like you to share, what was it like having torn that ACL, been with the team, and then having to come back?
I think seeing the success of the team the year that I tore my ACL was hard to come back and know that, we had lost Whitney and some other leaders on the team, and trying to step up and be that leader was a big kind of weight on the shoulders, but had great teammates to support, and they were able to, pick you up when you didn't feel great because you were just coming off an injury, but then also some successes that I had, I was able to get that injury out of my mind and continue on playing.
And you seem to play better after the ACL. Is that just the maturity or the work that you put in?
Probably a little of both. Just as a freshman, you don't really know what college athletics is all about. I was able to now have 2 seasons under my belt. I was able to focus on strength conditioning in the season that I tore my ACL, and was able to take off from there.
Sarah, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our final individual inductee is the most recent grad of the group from the class of 2015 by way of Carmel, California, Andrew Franks. His RPI journey started with a drop-in while he and his mom, Beth, were visiting schools on the East Coast, and from there it went on to include setting countless school records and bringing unprecedented notoriety to his alma mater as the first alum in school history to play in the NFL. Though he played other positions and other sports, in fact, I think Andrew was a 4-year starting shortstop in high school, he was a kicker and a punter. He showed an interest in kicking right from Pop Warner, and by the time he was a senior at Carmel High School, he earned a national ranking and the opportunity to play at a Division I level, including at some Ivy League schools. Drawn to RPI by the academics, as well as the recently completed East Campus Athletic Village and ECAV Stadium, he had a pretty good first season that was followed by a year in which he was named to the All-Liberty League first team as a kicker. He connected on 8 field goals as a sophomore, including a school record 50-yarder against Union, and averaged over 60 yards per kickoff. It was the following summer that Andrew truly came to realize that he could potentially make a career booting footballs. He happened to stay in Troy over the summer to take differential equations, and then happened to be available when a pro kicker essentially cold called him through Facebook, a guy named Justin Medlock, who wanted to get in some reps. Medlock had been a kicker at UCLA and in the Canadian Football League, and he was in the area with his wife, who was playing in a professional golf tournament. Medlock wanted to get some reps and thought Andrew would be a good resource. They kicked together for a couple days at ECAV, and while doing so, Andrew noticed there really was not much of a difference between his results and Medlock's results. Regardless of the facts that he was a biomedical engineering major who was playing at a Division III school, Andrew knew his talent, his drive, and his work ethic could bring him opportunities. Personally, I knew he was serious about the idea of playing professionally when he reached out to me to ask why we didn't record his kickoff statistics at 102, 103, 104 yards into the end zone like he had seen elsewhere. Those are NFL stats. We don't do that in college. College maxes out at 100 yards. Andrew's junior and senior years included accomplishments that simply had not been achieved at RPI or nearly anywhere else in Division III. He tied the school record with another 50-yarder in 2013 when he also averaged over 63 yards per kickoff attempt. He was All-League, the Conference Special Teams Player of the Year, All-Region, and National All-America. He also took on the punting responsibilities and excelled there. Andrew earned all of those honors and more. He was All-America by 3 different outlets, plus All-Conference as a punter as a senior, after he connected on 16 field goals, with 3 of them from beyond 50 yards. His longest, still the school record, a 54-yarder against Hobart, nearly broke the Division III internet when we scored it on live stats as 53 yards, when in fact it was 54 yards. It was that year that he also helped secure a win in the Dutchman's Shoes Trophy game, pulling off a surprise onside kick following a score, and the game tied at 28. He finished that series with a 25-yard field goal, and the game ended with a scoreboard reading 31-28 for the Engineers, and them hoisting the trophy for the 2nd consecutive season. Now clearly on the radar of NFL teams, he had a pro day at ECAV in which multiple teams showed up. The Miami Dolphins were not one of them, but they coyly stayed connected with Andrew, including a personal visit to Troy by Darren Rizzi, the team's special teams coordinator, who actually had used RPI TV's broadcasts that were on YouTube to watch all of his kicks and all of his kickoffs, plus PATs. The Dolphins were impressed in all facets, and Andrew signed as a free agent as soon as the Dolphins were allowed to do so that April. He spent the rest of his senior year traveling back and forth from the Capital Region to South Florida as he finished his degree and trained to be an NFL kicker. In fact, he missed commencement because of practices, though his parents did make the trip from California to Troy. But it was all worthwhile when he earned the starting kicker spot for the NFL team. He was with the Dolphins for 2 seasons and credits RPI for that and more. This place has every tool and resource you could ever want to achieve your goals, whatever they may be, he says. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Andrew Franks to the RPI Athletics Hall of Fame.
I'm a kicker. No one.
Andrew, congratulations.
Thank you.
Legend has it you could kick the field goal 78 yards in the day.
73.
Excuse me, 73.
It's not exaggerating anything here.
And obviously went on to the NFL. In one of the articles I read, when you signed with the Dolphins, your mom had said that it was the most proud she's ever been of you. What was it like to sign an NFL contract, given all that you had been through with regards to biomedical engineering at the Division III school, sometimes having to shovel snow in order to kick, practice, train? What was it like for you?
I think in the simplest sense, it was validation of sort of the hard work I'd put in. You know, the bonds I had forged with friends, family, contacts through middle school, high school, here at RPI, you know, helped me find, you know, ways to improve myself, to build, you know, my strength, my mental fortitude, my ability to play well. And without them, I would never be able to achieve on the field. So for me, you know, being able to sign that contract, to get even the opportunity to be on that field with the highest players, you know, in the land, for me, that was just, simply put, I was extremely thankful. So to all my, you know, friends, family, everyone, simply thank you for all your support throughout the years.
Well, I will just say one funny anecdote, and hopefully you brought your wallet, because any time Andrew was out kicking on the field, he would inevitably hit it over the net, and it would hit my office or Karen Hansen's office windows, and we had pictures on the ledge, and they were knocked off. Some of them broke. And there was a time where Andrew's father actually came into the office with his wallet out, asking what we were owed because of our broken picture frame. So,
well, I heard you guys were slacking off, so.
you certainly kept us awake, that's for sure. So we do have time. I would like each of the inductees to please come up. We'll have time for a roundtable discussion. And while they're doing so, feel free to get more dessert. Come on up, Sonia. Oh, yeah. Very nice. Nice face. So I'll ask questions of each of you, and then you can kind of pass the microphone around. I'm going to start with you. And then I'll bring this one over.
This lot.
Yes, yes. Just hold on. Okay. Don't say anything.
Okay. Easier said than done.
So this is, to me, this is always an enjoyable part of the ceremony. You get an opportunity to engage again with folks who have accomplished things that certainly I couldn't, and most people can't. I mean, we have a select few folks who are former student athletes in the Athletics Hall of Fame. So we're obviously excited to have these 7 with us, along with Matt and Alex. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here. One of the themes, of course, is what it means not only to the folks here, but their families as well. And the assistance that families provide, and teammates, but we'll focus on families for a second, what they provide in getting the inductees here. So, Jerry, if you would, I know your dad had a lot to do with not only you attending RPI, but the success you had. Could you please speak to that?
Well, my father was class of 41, and as a little boy, he had a Rensselaer ring, which I thought was pretty nifty. And he gently nudged me towards Rensselaer as a college choice. And he nudged me far enough that I'm here.
And it worked out? Your 3 children are here as well?
Yes.
Although you couldn't convince them to go to RPI.
No, not at all. Christine is here from Washington. Peter's here from Atlanta, and Jane is here from London.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Julianne, you have it from both sides now. Obviously, with your support from your family, but now you're a mom. You see it on both sides. What's it mean to you?
It's an open-ended question. No, I'm very grateful to have everyone here. You know, I grew up in Southern California, so my parents made the trip out last night, and I've got my aunt and uncle and cousin in from Pennsylvania who are kind of my surrogate family. I think Thanksgiving trips, I remember taking the train out, and you guys were grateful to have me here. But no, it's really nice to be here with my family. You know, they don't really know me as the RPI student or the softball player. You know, they always kind of made fun of me, like, oh yeah, that's something that she used to do. And so it's really special to me too.
She did it really, really well.
Yeah. So it's special that they can be here and enjoy this with us.
Great, thank you. And then Allie, I mentioned the teammates. You have a strong group here. They obviously helped you accomplish the things that you did on the field. What would you say to your teammates from, in particular, the class of 2013?
I'm up here for you. This is because of you. Thank you for everything you guys put into our careers together. And FSU.
We mentioned a couple of injuries. Andrew, you had a skull fracture as a high school student. How did you overcome that?
Lots of bed rest, primarily. No, it was really, I think, the support of sort of my teammates, family, really striving to, you know, push myself to, you know, don't push yourself too much that you're going to overdo it, but to the point where we would love to have you back. You're an integral part of the team, and even if you're not playing, having you there with us is, you know, just as important as you being on the field. So for me, that was a huge pushing factor to get back on the field and, you know, continue playing.
And I will make a plug for our athletic trainers, all of whom I think spent a lot of time with them. Anybody who is a student athlete knows how vital they are, and we're blessed to have such great ones here at RPI. So, Mark, before you got to RPI, you also had an ACL injury as a junior at Albany Academy. Not so much about the injury, but what did that do for your recruiting process?
Yeah, back then there was no internet, no cell phones. So most of the schools out west kind of dropped me, so it became a local event. But luckily, RPI was always on my mind, and some other schools showed some interest. But it all worked out in the end, and that was it.
Well, it wasn't a done deal that Mark was coming to RPI. He did choose RPI over Harvard, so smart idea. And Sonia, tell us about your recruiting process. You're one of the first to be recruited to the Division I program, which had just been recently elevated. What was your recruiting process like, and then your transition to college?
Yeah, so funny story. I talked to my coach, Berkey, on the phone, and he was like, when you came down here, you're wearing a sideways hat, was like not sure how you're going to fit in. Anyways, found all my best friends over there, which is great. But yeah, so we came in, and it was, I think about half of us were coming from the D3 program, and we were in that kind of stage of transition. But we had some amazing leaders ahead of us who helped make that transition seamless, and we were able to be very competitive at the D1 program level immediately, pretty much, like in my sophomore and junior years. So just a testament to the people who came ahead of me and were able to kind of bring us up to that level, and the coaching staff and the rest of the staff who were there to support us. It was a great experience, and I'm proud to kind of be a part of that transition period.
And Sarah, we made it sound like it was a pretty simple transition for you from high school to college, at least on the court, but how was that for you? And then how did you take what you learned in college to your career?
I think I enjoyed finding as competitive of people when I came to a college atmosphere. In high school, you get people that play 3 sports, or it's not their first choice to be on the court and play competitively. But in college, they're here as their passion. And so being able to play with those types of people kind of elevates your game. And I think Sonia, you said, being on a team, those life lessons you carry through your career, whether you are on a team and working to, rebuild a street, as I do, or, be able to mingle and mix with all of you, kind of all of those life lessons that you get from being playing a sport in college and being on a team. You carry that for the rest of your life.
Jerry, if you don't mind elaborating on that, you played on 2 teams, co-captain of both, went into the service. How did your time at RPI help prepare you for that, as well as the fuel oil business?
Well, teamwork. In the Navy, you act as a team. In the oil business where I was located in Brooklyn, New York, we would load about 5 million gallons a day into oil into trucks. And we needed teamwork to make sure everything went well. So that's my view of teamwork.
Thank you. Teams had success. We heard a lot about it. It's fun to boast about and to reflect on the accomplishments of those teams. What was the NCAA tournament like for you, Julianne? And did you just think it was going to happen every year since it was in your first year? You guys won 35 games. Ho hum.
To be honest, yes. No, I don't think I really got to appreciate what a big deal it was freshman year. Playing in Southern California, competitive softball is much different than upstate New York. So I kind of just rolled into it and was like, yeah, we've always been awesome. This is great. No, but it was a great experience, and I got to give a shout out to Sarah. She's my bestie. We played all 4 years together, and she's really a great contributor to the team, and is part of the reason that we had so much success during our time. So,
Now, Allie, your teams were good, but then got really good. Did you feel like you had to go through some growing pains before you could get into the NCAA tournament? You got in the first year, but didn't win, and then the second year you beat St. John Fisher and then Gettysburg before you played National Power Middlebury. Did you have to take those steps for the team to accomplish what we were able to?
Yeah, we built on the success before us our freshman and sophomore year, and just got better every year. And then senior year, we were just playing to win, to continue playing together. Just continuing to get better every year.
Thank you. Andrew, I know you want to talk about winning the Dutchman's Shoes twice.
It was very, very nice.
Yeah. I described the onside kick, which at the time I thought was Coach Ice was our head coach at the time. We'll give him credit for calling it. There's a great photo of Coach I on the sideline when it occurred. But was that something that you were prepared for, ready to go, and excited to try to accomplish?
Yeah, it was a bold strategy, very bold. Yeah, it's something we practice, not that often, and to call it a shoes game where the pressure is always on is definitely, a little more stressful. But we practice hard so we can do it in games like that when the pressure is the most. So I think my teammates were all in the right place at the right time, and we all performed exactly what we needed to do. So for me, that was a perfectly executed play.
And speaking of Sarah, playing Union, you hit a buzzer beater against them and then set 2 school records against them. Was it something personal?
I knew quite a few people actually that went to Union, and so I would say the opposite. It was an environment that I felt comfortable in. I knew people that I was playing against, that I had played with kind of all through, actually, in high school as well. So I'm not sure. I think it was just the competitive nature of trying to beat the people I knew and kind of say I was better than them. So, so that's really probably what it was. Yeah. Also, Unions are always our rival, so you got to get hyped for that game.
Absolutely. And Jerry, I mentioned the goalie that you scored against the Hobart All-American. I didn't go into great detail because I thought perhaps you would like to. Can you provide a few more specifics on that?
Well, we were man up, down 6-5 at the time. We had a man up and a shot from the right side, went over the end line. Roger Cabana picked up a loose ball quickly and found me standing 15 feet from the goalie with nobody on me. He wisely hit me with a pass, and as I took the pass, I faked high, the goalie got his stick up, then I faked down, brought his stick down, then I put it over his shoulder.
Nice, nice. And the team won.
Yeah, we won in overtime. We won in overtime, 7-6.
Yeah. Sonia, about that 5 overtime game, that's a lot of ice time in a short period of time. On a serious note, what's it like to play that many minutes? And then Perry wanted me to ask about the pizza that was delivered at the end of regulation. So you could touch on both if you would. I mean, playing a 5 overtime game in the playoffs, that's got to be something that you will never forget.
Yeah, I mean, we all talk about, train for what you're going to play for, and, I mean, I don't think you could train for that if you tried. That game was so long. It was incredibly long. They were 20-minute overtime periods, floods. We're in the dressing room in between periods, feet up, smashing emergencies, whatever electrolytes we could get into our body, power bars, everything. And then when we finally won it, and I think we were talking about this earlier, but I think it was the Olympics or something, and we started our game, they started after us, completed the whole game, ceremonies, celebrated everything. Our game was still happening. It was still going on. And then about the pizza, that got hammered in like 2 seconds.
I would think so. I would think so. Mark, how about that game against Clarkson in the freakout? What do you remember about that, and was it as exciting as I remember it for you as somebody who played on it?
Yeah, that was an exciting game. I think the first goal was actually scored in the intermission, if I'm not mistaken. Someone won a car that game. I don't know if I can disclose the fact that RPI let them shoot too close. And they had to front the bill on that one. I don't know if that's... But anyway, that got us going in the locker room. I know we all left the locker room to see what was going on because we were like, we're playing terrible. But yeah, and then we had a lot of jello that we didn't know what to do with if we lost. So no, the whole team banded together. That was an exciting game. Sold out crowd, always one of the hallmarks of the freakout. So that was really exciting for everybody.
Thanks. Andrew, if we could pass the microphone down. What do you miss most about RPI and being on campus?
My teammates, simply put. You know, being in the locker room with all of your guys, all 99 of them, you know, there's not quite like a bond like that you'll find really anywhere else, in my opinion. You know, being around them, fighting every day to, you know, to be the best that you can be, struggling in school, struggling on the field, you know, trying to, you know, just always constantly improve yourself, you know, and finding new things about each other, you know, I think was, you know, truly the best part of RPI and a place that really fostered it.
And I could ask Sonia or Mark this, but you have the mic, I'll ask you. There has to be a huge difference between a college locker room and a pro locker room. Is that correct?
Yes and no. NFL locker room has better cushions. I will say that. It is a little comfier, a little more homey. But no, I think in both teams I played on, in the Dolphins and here in RPI, the end goal is really the same, is to be the best you can be, to improve the team as much as you can, and to win as many games as you can. So, you know, in that regard, it's just the stakes, I think, you know, you can debate it, but are a little higher in the NFL. I mean, you have a paycheck on the line versus, you know, pride on the line when you're in college. So for me, that's really the only difference. When you're playing, it doesn't seem that different, but, you know, I would say that's really the only difference.
There is a question I wanted to ask about being at home. I think it was your summer of your junior year, you and your dad rebuilt your house, is that right?
Yeah, we started building a new home in Carmel Valley. Yep. So I was doing construction, working out, kicking, waking up at 6 every day, and going to bed at 10 and rinse and repeat every day.
But that's part of the family bond that you don't have a choice with at that point.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So much fun.
And Sarah, as an only child, you've got all the attention all the time, good, bad, and different. How did that influence who you became?
Well, they were able to give all their time to me, driving me, you know, across the country to play tournaments and just, I think, being able to, you know, sometimes I think you get like only child syndrome, but I feel like I don't have some of those qualities. And they were, you know, they allowed me to explore my passions and kind of follow my dreams to play in college athletics. And yeah, thank you.
Well, it's a good segue. We'll start with Sonia and work our way around. But before we conclude, we do want to give each of our panelists, our inductees, a chance to say a minute or two of thanks to whoever you'd like to. Whether it's, again, family, friends, teammates. If you want to pass, that's your choice too.
Pass. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll start with Sonia.
Okay, so yeah, obviously I want to thank my family. My parents are both here tonight. They won't even be embarrassed if I say this, but they have no idea what's going on in sports in general. like have no clue what's going on in hockey, but they were the most supportive ever. Like, I couldn't thank them enough. My brother, he's not here tonight, but he was a big part of my hockey career. All the gals who came out tonight from our team, the girls who couldn't make it, like, these are some of the best friends that I made here at RPI. Dana. Number one shout out right there. But Dana, Matt, shout out to Ort and Dustin, the medical staff who legitimately kept me together. And a lot of injuries here. My coaching staff, like everybody at RPI, Kevin, appreciate it. Am I missing people?
Pretty well. Thank you.
I think I'm good. Right. Appreciate it. And thank you guys for coming out tonight. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. No. No, just everybody. Obviously, everybody who came here today, my family, you know, people who supported me while I was playing here, and then the relationships I built through RPI even afterwards. Dana, my former boss, Brian's here today. You know, my dad and my mom were extremely instrumental in everything I've accomplished and haven't accomplished as well. You know, my brother's here. I was fortunate to play with my brother. You know, my parents are lucky we chose the same sport. But yeah, and then just everybody else. My coaches, Dan Fridgen, John Burke, and Bill Cahill, who's passed as well, but giving me the opportunity to be here. It's been, you know, I'm humbled. Really am humbled to be here and be honored in this way. So I thank you guys all for coming out. And if I missed anybody, I'm sorry.
Julianne?
Yeah, sorry, I have notes here.
Please.
So I first want to thank Ron Lefevre. You mentioned him in the beginning. He was a big part of my life growing up playing softball in California. Him and Bo Mullins, you know, I spent hours and hours of hitting and catching lessons that really brought me here to RPI. Want to thank my parents. Both of them are here this evening for indulging my obsession with softball and academics, and for letting me travel all the way across the country away from you guys. Tell me, you know, come here to RPI and always supporting my love of the game. Thank you to Coach Lewis for being here tonight and for recruiting me, bringing me all the way out here to RPI. You mentioned it, you know, with our trainers, you know, Orton, Chris Thompson, where I know Chris couldn't be here tonight, but big part of my life, spent a lot of time, probably too much time in the training room. That's back when it was in the Armory, so all of you younger kids, you're spoiled at ECAV. I also want to thank my surrogate parents, Debbie and Mark Smith, aka Mama Fink. They supported me, cheered me on, and they fed me at every game too. Extremely important. I want to thank Karen Hansen. I know she's not here today, but you know, she really kept me connected with RPI athletics, and you know, organized a lot of great events for the kids over the years that we were able to come to. Want to thank Sarah, my best friend. We became quick friends on the softball field, and our friendship grew over the years at RPI until we were co-captains senior year, and we've been friends for life ever since. She's been there for every major accomplishment in my adult life, and I'm so thankful that she's here tonight celebrating with me. She's the epitome of hard work, dedication in class, and I look up to her. So thank you, Sarah. And finally, thank you to my wonderful family, my husband Charles and my kids, Mike and Brooke. Thank you for coming out tonight and supporting me in this great honor. At one time, not too long ago, you know, school and softball, that was my life, but you know, I have a new purpose now as a wife and a mother, and you know, with the lessons that I've learned here at RPI, and you know, I'm just very thankful that I have this life and get to share with my family. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank my children for coming up to the dinner. You're still in the will. Athletic-wise, Bill Galey, wise old Scotsman, my freshman year, put me at left fullback, and there I resided for the next 4 years. Thank him for finding a spot that coincided with my talents. I'd like to thank Al Goodyear, who my sophomore year put a senior on the bench and put me in his stead. We went 7-1 after that. And I thank Ed Jontos for putting me on the first midfield as a sophomore. I didn't know if I deserved it, but he did. I thought so because he never changed me. But those are the people I'm thankful for. Oh, John Downing and Sam Cassetto and Marge Cassetto for pursuing this nomination. Thank you very much.
I'd first like to thank Coach Green and all the assistant coaches that I had over my time at RPI, as well as all of the other coaches throughout my career kind of dealing with me and allowing me to kind of pursue my passion and help the team. I'd also like to thank all of my teammates. The fact that you're here means so much, and you never know if they're going to be lifelong friends or just a flash in the pan friend, and the fact that you guys are here supporting is kind of the testament to everything that we want to accomplish in life. And then you guys get oh, jeez, I'm the embarrassed one. I don't want to go. And then, thank you, I already thanked my parents, but thank you for schlepping me everywhere and dealing with me as well. And then I'd like to thank my soon-to-be wife, Megan, who controversially, we met on the basketball court here, so she's literally kind of seen it from the inside out, and thank you for dealing with my highs and my lows. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I would first just want to say thank you to my parents. My dad couldn't be here today, and my mom passed away a few years ago, so I know she's looking down, so I'm very thankful for her and both their parts of my life. Thankful for my girlfriend, Casey, and her entire family, the Murphys, the Burks, and the Lockharts, for being truly my East Coast family, and the second part of me. And beyond that, to all my football coaches throughout the years, Golden Anderson in high school, the multitude that I went through here at RPI, but mostly Coach Isernia, the most important one. For really, making this program truly a contender and a program I'm really proud to be a part of, and to say that I was, helped build that. Beyond that, when I stayed here, my surrogate family, the Abriels, they couldn't be here either, but they really took care of me for every holiday when I couldn't go back home, couldn't travel. They, Thanksgiving, Christmas, holidays, they let me stay there, do whatever, and fed me, and just took care of me as one of their own. So for me, that was a huge thing for a kid from California, dealing with it sort of on his own out here. So to everyone else, to all the coaching staff, to all the athletic trainers who I bothered way too much, as CT will definitely tell you that's my hot tub, by the way. It's mine. Simply put, I'm forgetting way too many people, but there's too many people to thank, I think. So you're all in here, so thank you so much.
All right, start with thanking teammates, class of 2013, specifically that senior class. We did a lot together. Thank you for everything we went through. And to the rest of the team, thanks for getting things done at the other end of the field as well. Thank you, Coach, for all your patience. And to my parents, even though I said you were bad luck at games, I'm sorry. And for the Kaplans who supported me when my parents were watching on the live stream because I said they were bad luck. I'm sorry. And everyone else who supported the women's lacrosse program, whether it was athletic trainers, the cage, keeping the girls' clothes clean, and everything else that went into the program that made it successful. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. With the exception of, while everybody is up here, we're going to gather for some photos. That concludes our ceremony. Thank you all very much for being here. Safe travels home, and please keep in touch. Thank you.
Make sure you take a group photo. You'll have it for the rest of your life. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. Big job. Big man, good to see you. Safe travels back. Thank you. Congratulations. Great job.
Mark, skip over. Here, push over, Mark. Sonia, get over here. Juliana, you're here. Yeah? Looking good. Now, you need to push over so that these two. That was also on like Tuesday night. I don't think I could get that frame and it's digitalized from like 1985 phone. I can help. If you physically not this, all that stuff. I'm sure that's not.
Sweater was sticking on the chair. I felt that.
Hey, Jules.